Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the lecture. So, here we are going to discuss fourth module, theories and process of public policy making. So, in this module, we need to cover theories and models of policy making, perspectives of policy making process, and institutions of policy making. So, today we are going to discuss about theories and models of policy making. So, in this class, I would like to give you just an overview of models, models and theories of policy making. So, we are moving to the section. So, theories and models of policy making. Before going to the theories and models, I think some of you have, or some of you may need some clarification on some concepts. So, to understand easily what is theories and models in policy making, we must understand what is actually we need to study. So, here I would like to say or make a revisit on these concepts. So, in the first module, we studied about nature, scope, and importance of public policy, evolution of public policy and policy sciences, public policy, difference between public policy and public administration. So, in the first part, in the public policy part, we studied about the definitions uh, and uh, and its nature, scope, and significance of public policy, various types of public policy, its features, etc. So, in the next section, uh, we studied about the evolution of public policy as a discipline, as a subject, how public policy is developed. So, that was the uh, second topic we covered. Then, as part of this, we also studied about the evolution of policy sciences. So, what is policy sciences? Policy sciences, it is emerged in 80s, 70s, in that period. It was actually a systematic approach to the study of public policy, systematic analysis of public policy. So, what is public policy? Public policy are the um, policies or the decisions taken by a government authority. So it is legitimate decisions taken by an authority. So it is authentic, it is legitimate, and it is for the public, and it has some objectives and some plans. So we can call it as some plans or objectives, or it's a programs or a project. So whatever it may be, we can call it as it is simply policies. Policies are authentic decisions taken by an authority, a government. So sometimes some decisions, maybe actions, may not be uh, sometimes in the situation needed not to take any action. That is the policy. That may be the policy. So sometimes you can say that to do nothing can be a policy. So Actually, public policy is a decision taken by the government authority to fulfill the uh, needs of the public, or to the welfare of the public, or to the uh, empowerment of human beings, while considering them as citizens. And all these policies are undertaking by the government authorities through its proper channels. So, public policies are uh, should be public policies should be studied systematically to make uh, adequate changes, to make it as a very adaptable or a good one. We need modification in the policy. So to make to make modification in the policy, we should study first. So to study policies, what we need a systematic approach, a systematic analysis we need. So that kind of systematic scientific analysis is policy sciences. So in the 1980s and 60s, 70s, during it was an emerging period in related to the subject as a public policy. So uh, policy sciences, it is a policy sciences is the master brain of Harold Laswell. He is considered as the father of policy sciences. He put forward the various theories and models for to understand systematically what is public policy. So, public policy science are systematical analysis of public policy, and then we studied about public policy and public administration. What is public administration? Public administration covers all the activities of the government, bureaucracy, its role, functions, everything. But what is public policy? It is different. It is very different with while comparing with the public administration. Public policies are just programs, projects, or decisions taken by the administrative system. When the decision is taken, it should be implemented. So to implement the policy, we need a good administrative system and related structures and officers and for field and related resources we need. So the administrative system is going to um, control all these resources and systems. So we need a bureaucracy and an administrative system, officers. So public administration covers all the activities, resources, activities, bureaucracy, uh, the attitudes of bureaucracy, authority, and its role, institutions. So everything is covered by the public administration. Whereas in public policy, just it is only deal with what the decisions or plans or projects undertaken by the government. So that is a major difference between public policy and public administration. So we studied about public policy, the evolution of policy sciences, and finally we studied public policy, the difference between public policy and public administration. So that is clear. That was in the first module. So it was clear. Then we moved into the next module. It was in the two modules we studied five approaches. Five approaches. So we are moving to the next portion, approaches. So approaches. So in the two modules we studied five approaches: process approach, logical positivist approach, phenomenological approach, normative approach, and participatory approach. So what was in the process approach? Process approach is about it's it's an approach uh, covered the every activities or every model. We can find in every model a process. So we should give importance to process in the policy making. So in everywhere we can find process. So it's a perspective, it's an approach of public policy based on the process part. So that is process approach. So what is the importance of approaches, or what is the difference between theories, models, and approaches? So approaches are broad perspectives uh, uh, um, or a kind of methodology to study public policy. So, for example, government decided to uh, make a policy to a particular community or a particular region. So, uh, before planning or making a policy, government first uh, go for a uh, they will approach an agency, sometimes an agency, public policy related agencies. The agencies will study the problem very detail and very critically, and then they will submit a report about what kind of policy is possible to solve this problem, or what kind of policies should be the solutions for this particular region. So government will make the policy based on that recommendations. So uh, for uh, study the issue or the problem in that region, the agency may uh, use some kind of approach, some kind of methodology they use to study the problem. So to policy studies, they need approach, they need methodology. It may be a participatory model. They may approach the beneficiaries of that means the villagemen, and then they interacted with them, and they may collect data from there, and they may made a scientific analysis, verifiable quantitative data. They may collect quantitatively a good amount of data from there, and they analyze and they come to the solution. So some kind of methodology may be there. They use like some kind of methodology. It may be normative, it may be phenomenological, it may be logical positivist, it may be participatory. So that kind of a methodology, that kind of an approach is needed to study the public policy issues. So approaches cover every part. It may be public policy making, it may be policy implementation part may be analyzed with some kind of approaches may be needed. Some kind of approaches may be needed for analyzing the implementation or the evaluation or the making of public policies. So everywhere, every element, every aspects of policy, we need approaches. We approaches will be there to analyze those issues. So approaches are very broader while comparing with the theories or models. So what is theories and models? Theories and models are parts of or some elements of these approaches. So for example, take the case of process approach. In the process approach, we studied about how the process is going uh, in the system model. So in the system model, demands and supports coming from the public as a feedback, and government making policies. It is legitimately authentic policies, and it goes to the public, and again the demand supports as inputs and outputs going to the um, public. So that kind of a process is going on there in the systems theory. And in the allied theory, there is also a process, and in the group theory, there is also a process. So here in the theory and model. So in the case of system theory, it is all the model which is generated by David Easton in his system theory is known as black box model. So sometimes it may be a model, it may be a theory. Okay, so in logical positivism is a part of behavioralism, scientific, rational verifiable when data were quantitatively analyzed, quantitatively verified. It can be a part of behavioralist approach. It may be a logical positivist approach. And when the data analyzed, in addition to the data analysis with the verification technique, also we can also use techniques like deep interaction with the respondents, participatory observation with the respondents, and we can get more reliable data from the field. And with our with the intuition, that kind of a process, that kind of an approach is phenomenological approach. That is also possible in public policy studies. And also in the normative approach, is closely connected with the Draw's optimalism model. And he also said that what values should be considered a- as extra rational things. So in the participatory approach, participation of the all stakeholders in the policy making also should be considered. So um, um, that kind of approaches are there. So these are the major approaches. And in all these approaches we can find some kind of models and some kind of theories. So theories and models are parts of these major approaches, or maybe a part, maybe a approach. So it's a very very complicated, sometimes very complicated thing. So uh, we, we can't say that it is an independent thing. Only this is a model. This model has no link with any other model or any other approach. We can't say that because it is very interdisciplinary. Social science, in every part we can find interdisciplinarity. So everywhere some theories may interlink, some models may there is a link between some models. In one approach we can find some other models, in some model we can find some character of some approach. So it is closely related to each other. But in to understand easily, we can say that approaches are very broader methodology to study public policies, whereas the theories and models are part of it, part of these approaches. Okay. The idea of models and frames that structure and provide a discourse of analysis came into use in 1970s and 1980s. So, with the advent of what we call public policy sciences, with the emergence of policy sciences, these approaches were given more emphasis. So that is why these models, these structures, these theories were um, given more importance during the emergence of what public policy sciences. So they were thought of as modes of organizing problems, giving them a form of and coherence. A model involves the notion of constructing a boundary around reality, which is shared or held in common by a group of scholars or theorists. So these models and theories discuss and define problems differently. Sometimes these models um, conflicting one another. So so we can find uh, in the image, you can find there is a basket. It's a basket. So in the basket we can find three balls, three colored. So uh, this basket we can call it as approach. In one approach, eh, or in approach we can find so many models. So these models are not uh, um, linking, they are conflicting models. Sometimes the conflict models are conflicting. So some conflicting models are there uh, in the approaches. So approaches may be a broader idea. In that approaches we can find some model, some kind of miniature of a structure of a bigger thing. So we can call it as model. So here we are going to study about models and theories, which are the part of approaches. So approaches, we studied approaches broadly. approaches are broad. Study, are studying something broadly. To study something broadly, we need approaches. But in the approaches, we need to understand some issues. We need uh, various theories. We depends upon various models. That is actually uh, we are discussing here. Okay. So in this theories and models of policy making, we are going to study about uh, a number of models or theories. It can be either model or theory. So take the case of system theory. We can find black box model in system theory. So what is theory actually? Theory means a set of principles generalizing thinking about a phenomenon. Whereas what is model? Model is a proposed structure in a smaller scale than the larger. So in the original, it's a proposed structure of an original thing. It's a miniature of a larger or a wider thing. So uh, to explain the issues, the thinkers used some kind of models. That is, we are going to study, and some thinkers used some kind of principles and ideas and concepts. That is actually we are going to study as theories. So the theories and models are that is the importance of theories and models. So we are going to study about various theories and models of policy making. Okay, it's clear. So in the previous classes, in the various approaches, we already covered some theories like system theory, institutional theory, neo-institutional theory, Lindblom's incremental model, Draw's normative optima model, political process model, elite theory, group model, and public choice theory, etc. And also we need to cover another uh, some models like rational policy making model, Simon's bounded rationality model, mixed scanning model, groupthink theory, streams and windows model like models also. So here in the next from the next class we will cover all these models and theories in detail, and after that you will be in a condition of a good understanding of what we studied about the policy, the 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 theoretical background of public policy will be very clear while we covering all these models. Okay, so from the next class we will cover all these models and theories. Okay, thank you.